So I just got out of watching the re-release for Terrifier 2. I got to see the trailer, or the teaser trailer, the teaser for Terrifier 3. It was a lot of fun. But I'm going to be talking about what I watched in October. I got some horror movies sprinkled through here, but I also have some non-horror movies sprinkled through here. I know that's kind of a sin. I watched other films besides horror films in October. Let's not waste any time. Let's go ahead and start. This is one that I actually watched on Halloween. David Fincher's Panic Room with Jodie Foster, Forest Whitaker, Jared Leto, young Kristen Stewart. And I mean, there's nothing else to really talk about when it comes to David Fincher. David Fincher is just David Fincher. And I'm actually really excited to watch The Killer on November 10th. But I will say this film is very impressive just because it's set in one location, and David Fincher really does utilize the camera and the location itself to some very extreme measures, I will say. And it sucks that this is I think this is actually the only David Fincher film that doesn't have an actual Blu-ray release or a 4K. There was a rumor that this was coming out on 4K, but it hasn't yet. I don't know what's happening with that. Hopefully it comes out soon. And I watched Whistle and I'll Come to You. I watched the original one, the original 1968 version, and the 2010 version with John Hurt. I will say I enjoyed the 1968 version more than the 2010 version, although the 2010 version was actually a lot different than I thought it was going to be. And I would honestly say for better just because it kind of spruced things up a little bit. And they're really short. I mean, the first one is around, let's see, it's 42 minutes, and then the 1951 or the 2010 one is, I think it's like 52 minutes or something like that. Yeah, so it's like 10 minutes longer. But you can actually get this in another pack, I believe, with some more BBC horror films. I'm not sure about the 2010 one, but I really did want to get both of them, and thankfully they had a release. It is Region 2 though, so. And I've also been watching some Pedro Almodovar. I'm really enjoying his filmography. Parallel Mothers. And then I did Pain and Glory, which was, I actually really did adore this film a lot. And then The Human Voice, which I actually watched this, a double feature with Strange Way of Life in theaters, but I ended up picking up the DVD. Tilda Swinton, I don't know, I like Tilda Swinton, she's great. And The Auschwitz Report, the Auschwitz Report. I watched this before I went to the Chicago International Film Festival to watch Zone of Interest. I liked it. I did like it. When you think of Holocaust films set during the Holocaust, with The Pianist, Boy in the Striped Pajamas, very popular Schindler's List, and Zone of Interest, this is a very different take on it. And it really has some pretty interesting camera work in it, especially when you're following the two people as they're escaping. And the pacing is very bizarre as well, because you have these two lead characters that are, they're trying to escape, but they're very contained for the first half of the film. And you're really watching these other characters do, what they're doing and helping them out. And I found that to be a pretty interesting dynamic for all those involved. But I think this is actually one that a lot of people haven't heard of. Son of Saul is another one as well, another Holocaust film. But this is one that I think has went under the radar a little bit. I don't know if I could say seek it out. I mean, it's a good film, and I would recommend watching it, especially if you're into the subject matter for this specific moment of history. But yeah, I don't know. I hadn't heard of this one before, and I decided to check it out. The Wolf House. This was actually hard to find. And this is a very good. It relies a lot. I mean, it is an animation film, but it's a very meticulous animation film. It's very precise in what it's trying to do, and there's some pretty genuinely unsettling imagery in this. There's a deeper meaning, which I might actually make a video just on this, because this film is impressive. This film is actually really impressive. I think it took the filmmakers 5 years to make this. Yeah, this is definitely, if you can find it. This is actually kind of like, I think this is a library copy, so and I ended up spending like $30 on it, but I'm pretty sure you can watch it online. Last Year at Marienbad. This film is trippy. This is another one that I'm thinking about making my own video for. Actually, it's funny because Martin Scorsese put this in, I think, his top 10 widescreen films on Letterboxd, which is kind of cool. But this film is sort of I don't want to spoil it because it's basically a guy is trying to convince a girl that they met the year before. But it goes, I'm not even gonna say it goes deeper than that. It goes a lot fucking deeper than that. This film is trippy. This film is one of those films where you're going to think. I mean, you're not going to be able to help it. You're just going to think throughout the whole entire runtime, and it's okay to be confused watching this film. I've accepted that. In some of the interviews and the analysis that I've watched for this, it's okay. Train Spotting. I'm so hyped for the Criterion release. There's not really much to say about. Excuse me. There's not much to say about this film, especially if you like Ewan McGregor. He's great in this. But I'll probably talk more about this whenever I get the Criterion, which actually glows in the dark, which I think is really cool. I did my own video on the Fear Footage trilogy, so I'm not going to talk about these. If you want to check out that video, definitely check it out. But I watched the three did I say Fear Street? I mean the Fear Footage trilogy, which I thoroughly enjoyed. Me and my wife had a good time with these. But we also watched Project Eerie, which I didn't really enjoy as much as I did the Fear Footage trilogy. But it's still, I had a good time with it. I find these films to be very interesting, and anything that the filmmaker puts out, I'll probably end up, I'll end up viewing just because I had fun with it. Good Halloween flick. Prom Night with Jamie Lee Curtis. I'm not going to lie, I might need to give this a rewatch because I don't think I appreciated it enough. It wasn't bad. I had a hard time with it. I did. I had a hard time with it. There's a lot of slasher films that I do enjoy, but this one was a very tame slasher film. Honestly, it was a very tame slasher film. There's a really cool scene with this camper that I enjoyed, and I thought it was well directed. But I don't know. I had a hard time with this, and especially seeing Jamie Lee Curtis and other stuff like Terror Train and Halloween. It's good. It's a plus that it's got Jamie Lee Curtis in it. We'll just say that. Alexander Payne, The Descendants. I'm so excited to watch The Holdovers. George Clooney. You guys have probably seen this, but if you haven't, this film is amazing. It really, one thing that whenever I was doing research on this film, apparently they nailed the Hawaiian life, which is, I don't know really much about that, but I'll take their word for it because this film is very detailed, and it's probably my favorite. I would honestly say it probably is my favorite George Clooney performance, and I really do enjoy George Clooney, and he's in a lot of good stuff, a lot of good stuff. But yeah, I'm excited to watch more stuff from Alexander Payne, especially The Holdovers. Ended up getting Talk to Me and Insidious, The Red Door on Blu-ray, so pick those up. Hope I'm saying this right. Calavera. This is another one of those French. I don't like saying like an extremity film because I feel like when you label a film like that, which of course that's what they like when you think of High Tension, or when you think of Inside or what have you. Yes, they're extreme films, extremity films, but I feel like when you label something as extremity, I do feel like you are sort of acknowledging that the film is, there to be shocking, bloody, gory, and this film has that. But what this film also has is it has a lot of taste, and it's got a very, very interesting premise with very interesting characters, and it's very contained, but that sort of helps the film out in its favor. It did slog a little bit at times, but the finale of this film, it's good. And when you figure out more stuff as the film goes on, it's kind of rewarding in a sense, in a messed up way. But I'm glad I got a chance to check this out. And I believe this is also a new restoration. I also checked out Last Voyage of the Demeter. I have a video on that. I actually saw that one in theater. I can't even talk today. Saw that one in theaters. Next up is Snowtown. This film is magnificent. This film, it's based off of the real life murders. This film is just, it is sometimes frustrating to watch, but that's good. That's good because it really does get under your skin. And the performances in this film are absolutely electrifying. This film really will grab your attention the whole time. And there's some pretty messed up things, especially if you look into the real Snowtown murders. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff that goes on. And I feel like, because I have listened to stuff about the Snowtown murders, and this is, I don't want to say it's like completely accurate, but because obviously, I wasn't there, but from what I've heard, you'll watch some films where you'll hear about a crime, or you'll hear about a situation that was pretty brutal or extreme, and then you'll watch the film about it, and maybe the film might not live up to your expectations, but this one definitely did. This one definitely did. Another film that I would compare this to is Playground, which is very, very screwed up. It's based on, I don't even want to say the case's name because I don't know. I wouldn't even want to acknowledge the case, but it's pretty. I mean, if you've seen Playground, you know what case it's based off of, and it's bad. It's bad. But I enjoy watching films like this, as sick as it is. I don't know, but it was good. I liked it. Now, I had seen this before, but I ended up getting the Criterion Blu-ray and the restoration. This is the way you want to watch Freaks. This also comes with the Unknown and the Mystic, but Freaks is what you're going to buy this for, and I'm so glad Criterion picked it up. It sucks that I don't think it's the complete version. I don't think we'll ever get the complete version at this point, but still, I'm so glad to have this on Blu-ray. This is actually I think one of the more sought-after Criterion releases that people were looking for. And Todd Browning, I find it funny. He sort of tackles the same subject matter, but in different ways. And the other two films in this are silent films. Uh, and the restorations for those silent films. It's interesting how much footage gets lost over time for older films like that before film preservation and such. And I feel like this is just a worthy addition to anybody's collection that's into film history or preservation, restorations, or anything along those lines. Terry Gilliam's Brazil, there's nothing to say about this. I had a movie night with friends. This is probably Terry Gilliam's. I would say Monty Python and the Holy Grail or like Time Bandits, but this is probably his best work that I've seen so far. I haven't seen all of his films, but of course, this is a classic. The Cremator. This is the first film that I watched in the spooky season, and I love this. I say this is extreme art house. Okay, this is extreme pretentious cinema right here. But I enjoyed it, and I feel like it was the perfect start for the Halloween season. It's eerie, it it's a slow burn, but you can't help but look at it. You can't help but just stay focused on it, and that's what I appreciated about it. And I want to revisit it soon. Maybe this will be one of those films that I revisit every spooky season or what have you. Napoleon. I'm not gonna lie, I actually didn't finish this. I got about 2 hours into it. This is the 5 hour long epic from 1927. And I wanted to watch it before the Joaquin Phoenix Napoleon film came out. I'm not gonna lie, it was kind of a hard watch. It really was. It was good. From what I watched, it was good. Maybe I'll revisit the rest of it, but I just want to be completely honest with you guys. I watched like 2 hours of it. I know I should have just watched the other three. Shame on me. And now finally, the 4Ks, which I'll talk about this one a little bit later. I picked up the Barbie 4K, saw it in theaters. Not really much to talk about when it comes to that. The others, this is a new 4K restoration. I did not get the Criterion. I ended up getting the Studio Canal. But the transfer for this is great. This is the way to own it, or the Criterion version. But yeah, the classic ghost story. I feel like everybody has seen the others. I don't really know how much more I can add to it. Prey. I'm so glad this got a 4K release, and a really, of course, when you watch something on physical media, it's going to look better than streaming. I know. I'm not trying to bring up the whole conversation about that, but it's true. And I'm glad that this did get a physical release. I've noticed that Netflix, they're releasing two of their films, two of their originals on Blu-ray in January. So hopefully this is a trend. Hopefully this is something that we can get used to, because keep bringing these 4Ks. Seriously, I really want Mank, and hopefully The Killer comes out because it's David Fincher. Come on, some of the most beautiful directing and cinematography. But Prey, yeah. Pumpkinhead. This is a film that I grew up on. Great 4K restoration for this. I love this film a lot. I would actually like to make a video about it. I grew up with this film. One of the best monster movies out there, creature features or what have you. If you have not seen Pumpkinhead, definitely check it out. Even if you don't get the 4K, even if you get like the DVD or the Blu-ray, this is something to watch. Seriously. Friday the 13th, the special steelbook. I've heard a lot of shit about the 4K transfer for this. I actually didn't have a problem with it. Maybe that's just me. I thought it looked fine. But again, that could just be me. I heard there's a lot of, I think, DNR, which it does look pretty clean compared to the other ones. Or, well, to the original. You get what I'm saying. But but I didn't mind it. And this is honestly some pretty lit packaging. I'm not gonna lie. Rosemary's Baby, again, another great 4K transfer. I have it on Criterion, which is out of print, but I wanted to get the 4K for this, and oh gosh, I'm so glad that I did. These 4Ks have been great. Even The Exorcist, I would probably compare this to The Exorcist because the transfers are pretty much the same. Like they sort of retain that nostalgic sort of vintage feel, but they really do clean up a lot of stuff. And this is probably the best way to watch it. This is probably the best that Rosemary's Baby has ever looked, and that's probably the best it ever is going to look. So this is probably the version that I would recommend, and it also comes with the Blu-ray and digital code as well. And last but not least, The Wicker Man 4K, the big ass Studio Canal box set. This I'm in love with this. I really am. This is a 5 disc set. It comes with the final cut on 4K, the director's cut on 4K, the theatrical cut on 4K, and then it comes with all of those on Blu-ray. This is a huge ass set. And God, I don't know if you can find this. I don't know if it's still available, but if it is, pick this sucker up. Definitely pick this sucker up. Yep, that's it. Hopefully I don't get any hate on making this sort of a shorter video. I don't know, we're at 18 minutes. It's just a lot of these films, I don't really have anything to add to them. So if you guys want to see a separate video for any of these films, definitely leave it in the comments below. Gives me something to talk about. But if you guys want to check out my teaser trailer for Pesadilla, definitely check the link down in the description below. We're almost done with Picture Lock. We're about to send it in for the score. Very excited about that. But anyway, guys, hope you guys had a safe Halloween, great spooky season, and I'll see you guys next time.